Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Can you hear me? Yes? Perhaps you need also your, yeah. It's very noisy, so you may need your headphones. So good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very happy to welcome you here in my capacity as chairman of the Global Water Partnership Mediterranean in this event, the side event on harnessing freshwater, wetlands, and coastal and marine ecosystems through source to sea and with Nexus approaches for a net zero transition. A very long title. And in fact, we'll try to discuss a little bit the actual approaches to foster adaptation and mitigation co-benefits in an important part of the water cycle, the freshwater, coastal, marine ecosystem continuum. By sharing examples and good practices, the event seeks to promote the integration of these approaches in a water and climate action planning and advocate for enhanced coordination between and among sectors to ensure alignment of water-related climate adaptation and mitigation strategies and the related finance mobilization. This side event will be followed immediately after by a high-level segment on fostering adaptation and mitigation co-benefits in the freshwater, coastal, marine ecosystems continuum, leveraging opportunities and mobilizing finance for resilient and net zero development. The side event and the high-level segment are co-organized by the Global Water Partnership Mediterranean, WINDS, and the Nature Conservancy, and is part of the activities of the MED program Special Climate Change Fund project, enhancing regional climate. It's very, very noisy. Climate change adaptation in the Mediterranean marine and coastal areas. This is sponsored by GEF, the Global Environment Facility, and is implemented by UNEP through its Mediterranean Action Plan. I don't need to elaborate more on the importance and the potential of water sector for reducing greenhouse gas emissions because we had already a session this morning in this very pavilion. Allow me only to say that the potential of energy efficiency and sequestration allows 4% of the world carbon emissions which are related to the management of water. And this corresponds to a very important part. For example, it is calculated that is almost half of all the needs of the EU. So, in fact, this efficiency in water-related also infrastructures and all what allows us to have this adaptation mitigation co-benefit are so important, provided that we have proper integration, avoiding maladaptation and mal-mitigation. This is because we are enthusiastic sometimes, but we need to keep the real integration in mind. And this is why we, among other things, we propose the WIFE, Water, Energy, Food Ecosystem Nexus Strategy in the source to sea continuum, which is under elaboration at the moment. We are progressing very well within both the Barcelona Convention and the Union for the Mediterranean formal processes, and also the EU neighborhood and other policies. It aims to provide a common strategic ground among countries for shifting from Nexus thinking to Nexus doing. It is supported by a regional consultative process that is ongoing since June 23, with the support of Child Project 22 of the MED program and the EU West project I have the honor to be the team leader of. So it will hopefully conclude, we hope, by the end of 25, with strategic approval at ministerial level by both the Barcelona Convention and UFM. And this alignment is of very great importance and added value on its own. It will be the first, hopefully, to have a strategy document of this importance at the same time approved by the ministers of both bodies. Among the contributions to such challenge, we have the GWP within the GEF UNEP SCCF project has delivered three outputs. The first is the methodology, the methodological guidelines on preparing a financial plan for climate change adaptation in the Mediterranean coastal areas, aiming to support countries screening, targeting, and successfully mobilizing available funding sources for climate action, comprising domestic, international, and private sector investment. The second, which is produced in synergy with the EU West project, is the assessment of private sector engagement to catalyze financing for climate adaptation in the Mediterranean. And these two documents are going to be further discussed very soon in Athens, the 2nd and 3rd of December. We have high expectations from this meeting. The third one is a concept note for a multi-country program proposal to the Green Climate Fund, and Sara Tucci is going to elaborate more on that. So without taking more time, I would like to thank very much all co-organizers, presenters, panelists, and participants of the side event, and pass the floor to Mrs. Mireille Atala, the Chief of Adaptation and Resilience Branch of the Climate Change Division of UNEP, for her opening remarks. Please, Mireille.
Can I have a mic?
Of course.
What are we now? Good afternoon. Yes, well in the afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. It's a great pleasure and an honor. I call myself a daughter of the Mediterranean. I'm Lebanese, and it's a very dear region to me. So it's not only an honor and a pleasure, but it's a personal. It's really a personal pleasure to be here. Nowhere more than the Mediterranean is this discussion around water resilience and adaptation mitigation linkages critical and important. It's one of the regions that we know is going to be where we will see very extreme temperatures and where we will see radical fluctuations in precipitation. I cannot be UNEP and not initiate my remarks by reminding us that we have just launched the adaptation and mitigation gap reports, and that we are currently on track towards 3.1 degrees. And in the Mediterranean region, we have a mix of G20 countries that are responsible for 77% of global emissions, and developing countries that are very highly vulnerable to climate impacts. And so it's a framework, the Mediterranean is a framework where those two ambitions come together, the mitigation part and the adaptation part really come together and interface. However, as we transition to the next round of NDCs, it's really important that ambition is enhanced. But one of the things that emerged from one of the 6 regional exchange fora that we organized this year, the MENA one was in Tunis, is that, so we had these regional fora around exchanges and lessons learned on NDCs in terms of implementation and how to transition in NDC 3.0 on high ambition. One of the things in this region that really emerged is that the NDCs can no longer be about mitigation ambition, adaptation ambition, and means of implementation, but rather we need to look at the interface, the trade-offs, and the win-wins between mitigation and adaptation. And then we need to also look at means of implementation and solutions that deliver across the board. And so as we look, for example, at hydropower, we used to say hydropower is a solution for climate change from a point of view of mitigation. Today, that mitigation solution is very likely undermined by the changes in precipitation regimes, but more importantly, by the increase in temperatures and therefore evapotranspiration. We can no longer look at things in a very dissected and fragmented manner. Similarly, nature-based solutions used to be, when we started the Med-Wet Coast project very, very long time ago, Mediterranean wetlands used to be protected, preserved, and restored for the purpose of exceptional species that they harbor. Today, they constitute a critical buffer, and nature-based solutions actually constitute a very critical buffer that needs to be integrated in those NDCs as they help us manage the ebbs and flows of the water cycle, but also as an enhanced vegetation cover helps regulate the extreme floods and releases water during extreme drought periods. So I think that there is no place. I think every region likes to think that about itself, right? But I do think that there is no place more than the Mediterranean where those interfaces need to come together, where we need to be looking at and analyzing in depth how those interface together, and therefore I cannot overemphasize the importance of this meeting, and very happy to have been invited here. Looking forward to the panel, which I will slightly miss because I'm going to have to leave in a little while, but also most importantly to transition from the SCCF, the Special Climate Change Fund support that we have been providing through the Mediterranean Action Plan, to the larger scale GCF support that we look forward to starting implementing in the region, so that those issues transition from commitments, from talks into implementation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Actually, what you said about the Mediterranean is so important because we realize that we need every day more desalinated water, more energy for treated wastewater, and at the same time we see still reduction of the wetlands, which are, as you said, so important as buffer zones. Now, I would like to invite for the next part, I'm sorry. There you are. So, could you join us? Yeah. Please present yourself.
Thank you, Professor Skoulos. My name is Jawad Al-Kharraz. I'm Senior Associate with ECO Climate Think Tank, an Italian think tank. I'm pleased to be with you today. Shall I? Do you hear me well? Yeah. So we will start a panel discussion. We have 5 distinguished. Okay. So okay, that's fine. So I give the floor to my colleague Manuel Sapiano.
Okay, so the presentation, okay. So good afternoon to all, and quickly I'll go through this presentation, let's say looking at the nexus. Can someone, next slide please, because, okay. So first of all, we need to look at the nexus and trying to really establish the linkages between the 4 sectors. So when speaking about the nexus, we have the 4 pillars: water, energy, food, ecosystems, and the concept itself allows us to establish a comprehensive and horizontal policy framework by establishing links between all the sectors, because the links between the pillars of the nexus are not just in one directional, they are bidirectional, linking each of the different poles. Will be next slide. And if we look at, for example, energy and water, so diversification of water supply and investment in energy-efficient water services leads to a number of co-benefits, and we're talking here on co-benefits. So investment in energy-efficient water services leads to the management of emissions, leads to sufficient water to guarantee e-flows, leads also to security of supply for the agricultural sector. And those primary associated co-benefits leads also to secondary co-benefits: clean air, food security, enhancement of the natural capital. Next slide. And this can actually be, I would say, illustrated through Malta's river basin management plan, where when we analyzed the typology of measures which are in the river basin management plan, which is a water management plan, but the typology of measures which are broadly related to water, which have been included in this, I would say, Nexus adapted plan, we see measures which are definitely dealing with water management, but we see measures dealing with ecosystem protection, energy efficiency, which is important when you need to produce water, climate change, and water use by agriculture. And therefore, this balancing out of measures is important because we're looking at a water management plan, but which in itself is a nexus plan, is a plan which exemplifies the aspects of the nexus. And therefore, if we need to look at the impact of this river basin management plan, we need to look at it from a comprehensive perspective. What one action, what a water management action, leads to benefits in other sectors. Next slide. And here we can look at the SDGs, and particularly once more looking at this river basin management plan, we try to do an SDG assessment. So definitely a water management plan which has a significant impact on SDG 6, but when you look at the measures and at the positive impacts which they have, you also look that from the radial diagram that it is impacting and let's say, it's leading to the achievement of other objectives under other SDG 6, SDG 7, energy, climate change SDG, life on land, marine life, food, and therefore the comprehensivity shows that basically when we're doing these management plans, if we want them to be effective, we need to look beyond the sector itself. Next slide, please. And really to close, Nexus is definitely not just about building towers, which are specific policies. We have an onslaught of climate change. And if we need to stop climate change, we need a wall. And that wall is the nexus, integrated management. And therefore, by adopting a nexus approach when developing policies, by looking at co-benefits which can come out from the nexus approach, we can really develop this strong defense system which can help us address and adapt and mitigate to climate change. Thank you.
Apologize, I mixed all my papers. I'm very sorry. Okay. Now, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Manuel. I liked very much your tower and walls. And we move to Dr. Paula Hananc, advisor to the Minister of and Ministry of Climate and Environment of Poland.
Thank you very much. I would like to begin by setting a little bit of context. This year, 2024, I believe is the year that Poland has finally woken up to the idea that even in countries where there is an assumption of water abundance, we cannot continue consuming and managing our waterways and our water resources the way that we have been. In 2024, Poland saw both extreme droughts and a once-in-a-100-year flood event simultaneously. And I think it's really catalysed the Polish government to start understanding some of these nexus connections that perhaps are a little bit more evident to us who already work with this mindset. At the same time, very recently, the World Bank released its Climate and Development Report for Poland, which prioritises the top two resilience priorities for Poland from the World Bank are investment in water security and climate-smart agriculture. Similarly, the Polish Centre for Climate and Energy Analysis, which has the very delicious acronym of CAKE, their research and analyses from this year also recommend that bioenergy and carbon capture and storage solutions must be complemented by reforestation and other land use change initiatives, because nature-based solutions must be a priority, not just for Poland, but for the rest of the EU as well, because that is the only way that we will reach climate neutrality. So one of these analyses from Poland shows that the European Union can achieve 75% reduction of greenhouse gases in 2024 without taking account of absorption from the LULUCF sector, and 83% reduction through LULUCF, so land use change and forestation. So, okay, what does that mean in practice? Here are some solutions and ways of thinking that we are applying in Poland. So, as many of you know, up to 5% of CO2 emissions come from drying peatlands. And this is a particularly significant challenge in Poland because of the high proportion of peatlands in Poland. And the drying of these peatlands also presents an opportunity that I will get to in just a moment. So Poland has nearly 1.5 million hectares of peatlands, 86% of which are drying. And the emissions due to drying peatlands are mostly attributed from the water sector, that's about 90%, and 10% from forestry. So restoring peatlands in Poland would prevent approximately 21 million tonnes of greenhouse gas emissions. Because of this high proportion of emissions from drying peatlands attributable to the agriculture sector, it would be very simple and simplistic to think that only reforms in the agriculture sector are the solution to this problem. But of course, we're all Nexus thinkers here, and obviously Nexus thinking requires Nexus doing. So one systemic approach that we are contemplating actually comes from industry. Poland is developing an industrial carbon management strategy, which I'm also advising the government on. And as part of this strategy, we are thinking of ways in which we can broaden the definition of, well, carbon capture and storage and carbon use to include peatlands, wetlands, and other forms of blue-green infrastructure as an asset class for investment of industries alongside any other biogas and carbon capture and storage technology solutions. The idea behind this is to incentivize investment in blue-green infrastructure, in nature-based solutions, in exactly the same way, the portfolio of assets and investments that individual companies and industry associations can contemplate alongside any other technologies and technological solutions. So that's one thing that we're doing. But also I would like to take this opportunity to also encourage you all here today to, at the conclusion of this event, head across the aisle to the Polish pavilion, where the Green Evo initiative is showcasing a number of Polish green technologies. We have Symbiona, which is a wastewater treatment company that is reducing industrial wastewater processes, which can also not only incentivize sort of closed loop water consumption, water use, but also reduce scope 1 emissions from those wastewater processes. They also developed a closed loop energy production through anaerobic membrane bioreactors. We have Protifos, which is reducing eutrophication of lakes. We have the Institute of New Technologies and Environmental Engineering, which invest in rain gardens and pocket parks, which obviously not only have an adaptation component, but can also reduce 95% of organic pollutants in sort of the urban realm. So I do encourage you to have a look at those and many other innovative solutions that are coming from Poland that are right on this water, energy, food, ecology nexus. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. You raised this. I'm very glad because in 2012, when I proposed in the Ramsar Convention the addition of the ecosystems in the Nexus, there were many voices against because they thought that this will complicate further a complex issue. But I'm very glad because, as you said, peatlands, wetlands, oceanica, meadows hold twice as much carbon as all our forests together. So thank you very much indeed. Now we move to the third presentation by Dr. Sara Tusi, Senior Advisor of Global Water Partnership Mediterranean, who is going to address the freshwater marine ecosystem continuum for adaptation, co-benefits from the SCCF project of the GEF UNEP MAP partners.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you, colleagues. Can I have my presentation, please? Oh, it's here. Thank you. Can I make it move? No? I think I will just ask you to pass the slides. Thank you very much. We've heard, of course, from the Nexus approach, and we have heard about the nature-based solution. So I'm trying maybe here just to give you yet another approach, but I think it's, again, we are all looking how we can integrate as much as possible all these sectors, but also here we will see also the integration of spaces. And as you can see, we are going to discuss the the source to sea approach, and we start by maybe having a look to how climate change in this different spaces can impact each part of the source to sea elements, and how this interconnects also the different sectors. So if we start from the mountains, from the snowpack, we can see if a possible reduction of the snowpacks could change the water supply. So already we can see the reduction of the flows if we have less glaciers. Also, if we have less flows, then we have already said it, then we have still less water for hydropower. We have also lower water in the groundwaters, and then yet another problem of needs of more energy to pump these waters. And we go on. I think I will just try to go quickly, because we are all looking on how to do things, and how really we go and use all these approaches to move from talking about to doing. So let me go to the next slide. I don't want to lose a lot of time on these maybe approaches. So here again, I mean, this is a very nice representation and simplistic representation on this continuum from the land system to the freshwater system to the estuaries, deltas, until we reach the open sea, and how one lead to the other, and we need to see to the full spectrum. We cannot just try to find solution, whether for adaptation or mitigation in one of these circles, but we have to look to the whole spectrum. Can we move to the next slide, please? This what means? It means also that we need to change the way we are thinking, and we need to be more systematic in our thinking, not only coordinating among the sectors, but also, as I said, we need to look to the whole dimensions, to the whole spaces, from land to open sea, and from sectors from agriculture, water, energy, environmental ecosystem. Let's go to the next slide. So how we do it, and this is an example that we wanted to share with you from the SCCF MED program, and as my Professor Skoulas earlier mentioned, that one of the deliverables of this project is, and our colleague also Mireille, one of the deliverables, or what we are looking to, is to leverage funds from the SCCF project to go to a project to be submitted to GCF, and this also looking to common challenges that are in the Mediterranean region, that are shared by many countries. So the idea is, yes, more desalination, we heard it already, so it means more energy. How we can bring the photovoltaic, of course, and renewable energy dimension. But not only this, what is important is to look also on how we can not avoid the maladaptation, not only looking to innovative technologies, because we can see what, and hopefully we have also a lot to learn from the Polish experience. But so yes, we will go and have a look to the Poland pavilion, promise. So we need to look to what technologies can bring in order to avoid the maladaptation, like whether diffusing the brines, or also using the brines to capture and sequester carbon. But we need to look also to the value chain. Is there the market that can allow us to use this brine and to valorize this brine for different uses? Same for the wastewater treatment plants. We need to upgrade using new technologies, indeed, but also encouraging the reuse. Encouraging the reuse means also to look to the potential users, including we need to maybe upgrade according to what are the needs of the user. So not upgrade and reach the same quality for all users. And this is one of the aspects that the project also will be looking at, in particular that we will be trying to reuse the water in the industry sector. So the industry requirements are different, so the upgrade and the innovative technologies will be different. But all this is linked also, as we discussed, to the continuum, because we have the seagrass meadows, and we have a unique, actually, Posidonia seagrass in Mediterranean. Can we go to the next slides, please? that is impacted. I mean, it's very present in the Mediterranean region, but it's also very much impacted by the different sources of pollution. But at the same time, it's a very, very good ecosystem to reduce coastal erosion. Is it better now? Perfect. Thank you very much. So I was saying, as the seagrass, the Posidonia, is a very important ecosystem for adaptation to reduce erosion, but also a very, very important and ecosystem for carbon sequestration. And it's not only 2 or 3; it's almost 10 times more carbon sequestered than forests. So when we see this project, it goes from the upstream, from the water supply and in the land until the source, until the ecosystem in the marine areas. And this is one of the examples how we can use indeed this integrated approaches in a very concrete way. Hopefully this project will, already some countries have expressed their interest, like Morocco, Tunisia, Libya, and hopefully this will we will be able to have it until being concrete on the ground. And I'm looking, of course, to our colleagues from GCF and also to our colleagues from the countries. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Sarah. And we need to have more dialogue in a while. So I would kindly ask apologies for I call you earlier, mixing my papers. Dr. Zouayad El Karaj, former Executive Director of Regional Center for Renewable Energies and Energy Efficiency, will facilitate the panel. Now you may take a seat and we can have Mrs. Siham Laraisi from the Ministry of Equipment and Water of Morocco. Dr. Sunimal J. Atunga, sorry for my pronunciation, from NDA Sri Lanka. Thank you. Mrs. Lea Kai, Project Manager Advisor of Climate Change Projects, UNDP Ministry of Environment of Lebanon. And we'll bring another, okay. And Dr. Amgad Magdi from the Regional Manager Middle East and North Africa of MENA of GCF. So, excellent. You see adaptation. And the land actually also planning.
Thank you very much, Professor Skoulos. Good afternoon. It's a pleasure to facilitate this second panel of the event. So we have distinguished panelists with us. So as Professor Skoulos mentioned, so Dr. Siham Areshi from the Ministry of Equipment and Water in Morocco, and we have with us also Dr. Sunimal from Sunimal Jayatunga, Additional Secretary from the Ministry of Environment, Okay, so Dr. Tusita Sugatapala, Senior Lecturer in Mechanical Engineering at the Department of Mechanical Engineering, University of Moratuwa in Sri Lanka. Thank you very much for making it. Also, we have with us Ms. Claire Shakia? No. Leah Kai, sorry. Leah Kai, Project Manager, Advisor of Climate Change Project at UNDP, the Ministry of Environment in Lebanon. And finally, we have Dr. Amgad El Mahdi, Regional Manager of the MENA region of the GCF. So thank you so much. So I really enjoyed the different interventions prior to this panel. talking about nature-based solution, talking about the water, energy, food, ecology nexus. Personally, I've been working in the water sector for long years, and then I moved to desalination and the energy sector. So somehow my career is a clear example of nexus. When I was in Oman, one of the biggest problems they had in Sultanate of Oman is the produced water. With each barrel of oil, they extract 9 barrels of produced water. So contaminated by heavy metals, so they need obviously treatment. Otherwise, it may end up by contaminating the aquifers. So they dispose it in huge evaporation ponds. But there was an innovative solution based on nature-based solution. It was based on constructed wetlands through which they could treat 175,000 cubic meters per day of this produced water. It doesn't solve all the problem, but solve parts of the problem. So important to really think about nature-based solutions. And also in terms of desalination, as you know now, because of the impacts of climate change, we have more and more drought in our region, in particular MENA region. And obviously desalination became an option of no conventional water resources that all the countries are now using as an option to supply water, not only for drinking, but also for agriculture in some cases, for some greenhouses, for high-value crops, but now also another use, which is using it as an input for production of green hydrogen, green ammonia. And as you know, green ammonia is an input for the fertilizer industry. So we see clearly, how this could contribute to food security. So again, another nexus, hydrogen, water, or water, energy, food nexus in this case. So without further ado, we have a diversified, as you see, profiles of speakers. I just wanted to ask Sarah, is Miss Claire Shakia will connect online or something? Oh, she's here? Oh, please join us. Please, sorry. So the fifth panelist, Miss Claire Shakia, from Global Managing Director of Climate at the Nature Conservancy. So please join the stage. No, you can use the seat. Thank you very much. So I will start with Dr. Siham from Morocco. So in the view of the increasing number of desalination projects that are ongoing in the pipeline, so to meet the increasing demand of in particular drinking water in Morocco, I know that we have now almost 15 desalination plants, but many are in the pipeline in the south, in Sahara, and Casablanca, in Nador. So what about, the efforts to boost energy efficiency? You know, the major problem or challenge of desalination was the cost, energy consumption, and environmental impact. So how you do, to boost energy efficiency in this desalination strategy that you launched in view of the, as I said, of the increasing number of planned desalination projects in the upcoming years? Thank you, Dr. Siam.
So yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Jawad. Thank you very much for the invitation. I'm very delighted to be here with you and to share the experience of Morocco in developing desalination projects under the Nexus approach. Actually, I would like to start by presenting you the current situation, hydraulic situation of Morocco. Actually, we are experiencing for the 6 years or more, because this year has been started, really a long period of drought, and we had a historical deficit of precipitation and then of water in our reservoirs. So in 2022, we started actually before, and under the royal guidelines of His Majesty King Mohammed VI, we have launched a very ambitious program on desalination. So for now, we have, as you said, Dr. Jawad, like 15 desalination plants with a capacity of 192 million cubic meters per year. And we want to move it to 1.7 billion cubic meters per year by 2030. So 13 desalination plants are programmed for, and maybe the most of them will be functioned before in 2027. and 6 are under construction. Between them, the plants, desalination plants of Dakhla, which is the first projects implemented the Nexus, the Wi-Fi Nexus, as this plant will be functioning 100% from wind energy. And then we have launched recently actually the desalination plant of Casablanca. You know, Casablanca is like an economic capital of Morocco, and it will be actually served 100% from wind energy. You know, the guidelines in Morocco now is to use as much as possible renewable energies as proper energy. Why? Because we want to respect environments, but also for costs. You say that the cost of desalination is very high, and we want to be competitive in terms of costs. So renewable energy will give us this opportunity actually to reduce the cost of desalination. As you know, we need actually to have this water security and food security. So we need to satisfy the drinking water supplies, the irrigation supplies, and also industry. So many desalination plants are functioning for drinking, irrigation, and industry. And we are interested also on the impact of desalination plants on environment. So we want to involve more in brines management. So we need to develop more innovation, new technologies for making the cost more competitive, but also for managing brines, because you know, actually for the Mediterranean, we are dealing with some environmental impacts on the Mediterranean Sea. So we should, as a country being part of Mediterranean region, to be more interested in this aspect. So the Nexus, the Wi-Fi Nexus, is really respected in this kind of project on seawater desalination project. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Siham, for
Something. I really thank Mrs. Sarah Touzi to presenting the MED program. Actually, we are really interested in that to join, and we already started actually the discussion about that. And we all countries on the Mediterranean region, especially on the south of Mediterranean, we should work actually together and to have as it's green projects. It should be financed by by climatic funds. So we are really interested to working together and to finance some projects, and it will be a very model for the regions. I mean, thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Siham, for this very interesting insights about desalination strategy in Morocco and relying on renewable, making desalination green and 100% powered by renewable. So definitely it will contribute to reducing the cost from one side, other side, reducing the carbon footprints, and eventually you mentioned also dealing with the brine, which is an issue, but there are existing solutions that could be used. Thank you so much, Dr. Siham. So now I will give the floor to Ms. Claire Sheikia. So, I mean, I come across wetlands all the time, but peatlands not that much. So personally, I don't know much about this ecosystem. So my question would be, what the role of peatlands play in climate change mitigation, and what actions can we take to support them? Thank you.
Thank you. Water and climate are inextricably linked, and right at this nexus sits wetlands. Peatlands are probably the most exciting in terms of carbon, but also in terms of the amount of water storage. They're really ancient. They store a lot of carbon. They're actually a tiny proportion of so the nature offers a third of the emission solution for the world. It's the most cost-effective. It's got a huge amount. It's, of course, we all know everyone's complaining about a lack of finance going to their thing, but nature really is way under-financed compared to the energy potential, compared to energy, and yet the potential is huge. And for peatlands, they only cover 3% of the planet, but actually they store a third of the global soil carbon and 10% of water. So in terms of their role as a really critical ecosystem that's been hugely overlooked, this is one of the most important ones. The stored carbon, as I say, is massive. It's actually greater than all the forests combined. And the peatlands in the Congo alone store 3 years' worth of emissions. So we are looking at 3 years' worth of total global emissions. Sorry, I'm tired. You're all tired. It's been a long COP already. But at this point, we're protecting very few of them, and there is a huge amount of draining of peatlands still going on. And when we drain peats, we turn them from a carbon sink to a carbon source, and we stop storing water, of course, and we increase the risk of fire. And this is massive, and we are seeing this again and again, that actually where peats are healthy, it can reduce forest fires because it creates a break within the forest. So this is one of our big friends on climate, and we're not doing enough. So, there are multiple benefits, there are multiple threats. I think these threats and benefits are ones you hear about all the time around these ecosystem approaches, so I'm not going to go through them. But there are also big opportunities, because now we're beginning to improve the amount of science that's available about the role of peat within the system, as a big climate opportunity. And we have some countries with really huge peat capability. So Indonesia, Mongolia. Indonesia has recognized peat in their NDC. Mongolia, I think maybe third or fourth largest store globally, hasn't even put it into the NDC yet. So there are big opportunities for putting your peat into your NDC and beginning to really understand the role it can play, both for carbon storage and for water storage. So at the TNC, we're working with over a dozen countries right now to understand what are the peat opportunities within those countries, work with the government, work with other stakeholders to begin to work through how this can benefit, not just from a carbon perspective, not just from a water perspective, but also in terms of the stewards who are living in and around those landscapes, for them to also be getting a good economy, creating jobs and creating livelihoods and economic growth. So at the moment, we're working on developing that compelling evidence that will encourage governments to take it seriously. We're working on building these diverse coalitions to grow the global ambition. And anyone that's interested in peat, please let us know. We're very keen to collaborate. We're trying to address those science gaps and really engage Indigenous people, local communities in the science process themselves, so that what we're talking about in terms of a management technique is actually also working for them. And then finally, we are looking at building the enabling conditions for systems change. What are the policies, what are the financing, innovation in financing that's really going to drive peat protection globally? So the peat story should be huge. We should be talking about it all the time. Please come and join us on peat. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Claire, for this insights regarding peatlands and the action to taken to support them. Thank you so much. So now I will move to Sri Lanka. So I will give the floor to Dr. Sugata Pala. We know about the green growth strategy in Sri Lanka. So if you could please just tell us about the recently developed green growth strategy, whether it's providing a framework for climate action across the water-related sectors, both in terms of adaptation and mitigation. So if you could tell us more about this. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you. Just a brief introduction to this recent initiative. It's a government initiative, most recent one. We call it climate smart green growth. It's not just green growth, because when you look at in Sri Lankan context, the climate change impact has been one of the key issue in Sri Lanka, which has affected our development. So as the signatory to Paris Agreement as well as the 2030 agenda, Sri Lanka has initiated several actions, National Adaptation Plan, then Net Zero by 2050, Provincial Adaptation Plan, and for this issue, this initiative came up with the importance of integrating all these initiatives to a common path, which finally lead to the goal of sustainable development. So we look at the pathway towards that. So that's what we call climate smart green growth pathway. That's the strategy we talk about. So in that context, we identify all these strategies based on our impact first. We analyze the impact the sectors. So there are several sectors, and water is one of the key. And also water is one of the key energy resource in Sri Lanka, the hydro. And also it contribute to even the other power plants, like, as a process material, and also the industry. Then also drinking water in cities also become important. Then wastewater management and so on. So water become a cost-cutting area. So it has become a key thematic area or cost-cutting theme in our strategy. So then we identify, based on the global initiatives, some key system transition we need. So we identify 6 or rather 5 system transitions, transitional systems: energy, infrastructure like cities, then the industry, even the societal system, and also our ecosystem and natural capital. So then we develop key investment programs under this to drive this system transition. So that's the broader context. So when you do that, we identify integrated water resource management has come up as one of the key interventions we need across all the areas. Just to give a few examples, when you look at the energy transition, that's what you're expecting. So one aspect we have to see now how we are going to manage our water resource for energy, which is also used for agriculture. So we have to balance these two. And also in our plan, we have in the energy storage system, we talk about the pump storage that's based on water. Then we have to now see how we can enhance our water resource for our hydropower. Then also how to, we also have the biomass as one of the key energy source for the future. Then biomass is plantation. Then some of the key challenges in biomass also, the water resources. So water, integrated water management, water resource management has come as a key interventions needed in energy sector. Then we go into the other key system transition we are expecting, that's regarding the cities, human settlements. So of course the water is used in multiple ways there. The wastewater management become important. So there also we see the integrated water resource management come in a different way as a key intervention we require. So then we also go into what we call the societal transformation that will change lifestyle. There also we look at and we see how far we have to improve the water resource efficiency in cities, and also wastewater management and those aspects. Then of course we have another key area, that's the agriculture, and also the forestry, then the natural capital. So there also we can see how the water become very important as key area. So therefore we identify all these interventions in our strategy. So we have now developed the action plan basically, but I want to just highlight that water has become naturally one of the key area for us to address. That's why the integrated water resource management become very important element in our policy interventions. I will stop there. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sugata Pala, for this very informative intervention covering the climate action framework in this green growth strategy of Sri Lanka, especially in what's related to water and across sectors related to water. Thank you very much. So now I give the floor I will move from Sri Lanka to Lebanon. So first of all, my full solidarity and thoughts with Lebanon and Lebanese in these difficult times. Ms. Leah, my question would be, could you please share with us insight about the governance frameworks and tools that are set in Lebanon to align water and energy sector strategies with the NDC's commitments in view of the upcoming NDC's 3.0 in next February. So I know you have a Ministry of Energy and Water, but this doesn't necessarily mean that there is a sort of coordination, but I mean you will may shed light more on this this governance of water and energy. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for having me and for giving me the opportunity to present what we are trying to do. Not sure how much we're succeeding in doing it, but at least I know that we are putting the effort in creating more synergies between energy and water. You know, the interesting fact when we were analyzing the vulnerability of climate change, of the water resources to climate change, the first parameter that was impacting the vulnerability of water resources in Lebanon, the first was energy. So because of lack of energy supply, lack of sustainable, affordable energy supply, the adaptive capacities of water resources and of water management were at their lowest. So automatically you understand that solving one problem will solve the other, or at least will help in adapting, in increasing the adaptive capacity, hence becoming more resilient. Sorry. So by targeting the energy sector through renewable energy for pumping station, for distribution stations, for wastewater treatment plant, because if you can't treat wastewater, then you're polluting your water resources that are already very scarce, so then you cannot really use them. Also, energy efficiency. How can we use energy efficiency measures to make water establishment have a lower operational cost, so that they can invest in their equipment, in the upgrade of their equipment, in water efficient equipment and not energy efficient equipment. So it's really a cycle. Also, this is affecting agriculture, because if you don't have energy, sustainable energy, because you do have, but it's not affordable, it's not sustainable, and it's highly polluting. So while having good sources, clean sources of energy, then also you are being able to provide water for irrigation, hence increasing the adaptive capacity for the agricultural sector. And this is, I think, why we always talk about WEFE, about the nexus, about how all of these things are linked together. So how are we capturing this in our NDC? So back in 2015, in the first NDC, it was all mitigation. We had a small paragraph on water, but really the effort that we put back then, because we had like 3 months to prepare the NDC, it was put on mitigation. And then in the 2020, we realized that adaptation should have a bigger role in the NDC. And see yeah.
Yeah, better.
So really, we started integrating more energy in water. I think this it's go. Okay. Yeah. Now in the NDC 3.0, we are trying to do what Mireille was saying, to really take an integrated approach. So it's not just having like common indicators or having being on the same document. They have to be in the same page, in the same paragraph, you know, really concretely. And in the transparency framework that we are developing, we are trying to have common indicators. So let's say renewable energy use in wastewater treatment plants, and then the corresponding GHG emission reductions from both treating wastewater, but also replacing, so have a common metric to be able to continue this. It's going to be challenging. I think all countries that are currently preparing NDCs are trying to do the linkages also with other conventions, with biodiversity. CCD, February is very, very early. We will not be meeting the February deadline, because it's either quality or quantity. Do we really need an NDC in 2025 or in February, or do we need a good NDC by the end of 2025? Most probably we're going to go with option 2.
Thank you very much, Leah, for this clarification regarding the efforts in Lebanon for transparency framework and how you align water and energy in view of this NDC. Thank you very much. So last not least, Dr. Amgad from the GCF. So I would like to ask how projects with both adaptation and mitigation co-benefits are prioritized, sharing good examples of successful GCF funded projects that have this kind of co-benefits. Thank you.
Thanks, thanks, Jawad, and thanks for the question. I think the first intervention I can do, sign the check and go. But let me think. I think it's, if we talk about how we prioritize the Nexus project or Wi-Fi through GCF. So in GCF, we have put like the sector guide, because we work across all sectors, from water to agriculture to energy, transportation, health, education. So we're not really excluding any sector that we support. And for each sector, we have defined like a sector guide that really communicate what are the key pathways for the paradigm shift to achieve that adaptation and mitigation measures. And also for each sector, we have defined all the cross-sector activity that can be also come to GCF as a project. But the way we look at any concept note or funded proposal that really come to GCF, we try to see like what is the paradigm shift in this project. And that paradigm shifts need to come through like in terms of the solutions or the interventions that actually proposed. And really if we look at to make the project very bankable, you really need to take that circular economy or the whole value chain approach. And if you translate what does it mean, the whole value chain, you really need to work across all sectors, water to energy, to food, to agriculture, to ecosystem, and you can keep adding on if you start to consider like the communities and so on. So one is really like the paradigm shifting. Second is really about the potential impact. And potential impact, because we are a climate fund, so we're really looking at what is the potential impact for mitigation in terms of the number of tons of CO2 that will be reduced, or the improving the resilience, or a cross-cutting, where the project can actually show me a benefits of adaptation and mitigation as well. And this is where we can see like more return on our investment, because the return on our investment, it's not about dollar values, it's about the scale of the impact that the project can actually show. The third point, when we look at also like all the co-benefits out of those projects. And this is where we look at how this project really deliver on all the SDGs. So it's not just the SDG 13 for climate change, but also all the other co-benefits, environment, economic, social, and across all other sectors as well, and whole SDGs. But also, the way we see it also, what could be really the potential, because once you start to bring the circular economy or Nexus approach or Wi-Fi approach, you start open the door for other investors to come and invest. And this is where we try to leverage our finance to bring other investor or private sector to invest in those type of projects, and ensure really the project is bankable and also affordable, because affordability, it's a key element for any project. Bankable, it's a very, every bank, every multi-development bank, they try to make the project bankable so the project can really attract finance. But for us, because we are a climate fund under UNFCCC, we also try to ensure affordability as well. And affordability here, not just for like if we give a concessional loan, the borrower will be able to repay that loan, but it's actually affordability of the community, affordability of the end user. So if you talk about water sector, so the tariff need to be not negatively impacted by whatever project or investment that we are doing. And this is how we really assessing project and look at the opportunity for investment. We talk about water. We also believe water is really the connector, because 80% of the climate change manifested in the water sector. What does it mean? Like most of the impact of the climate change, you can actually see it in the water sector. And we believe most of the solutions for adaptation and also mitigation can also start from water. Like today in this pavilion in the morning, we have launched with UN Water the water for mitigation, because there is a quite alarming, and everyone need to understand, even if we talk about mitigation measure, you really need water for mitigation. If you talk about CO2 sequestration, you really need water for that. If you really talk about new renewable energy, green hydrogen, you really need water for this. So again, by looking even at mitigations project that become more attractive for investment, we try to, again, to highlight water is actually required as well for mitigation. When you do your NDCs, you really need to think about that integrated approach. So NDCs need to be released next year or submitted next year. So again, we encourage country to think about an integrated way where nexus again come. How you think about your NDCs in an integrated manner that bring that Wi-Fi or nexus approach, but also think about how you turn those NDCs to become an investable project. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Amgad, for these very insightful inputs regarding the adaptation mitigation co-benefits of GCF-funded project, and the way you consider the project and affordability. That is also very important to consider when it comes to this kind of project. I wish it if we could continue more, but I think we are over the time. So please join me to give a big applause to the panelists. Thank you so much for your insight. Thank you very much. So I will give the floor back to Professor Skoulos. Thank you very much.